Hi, my name is Linda Noss and I teach for Southern New Hampshire University, and this semester I'm teaching MAT 125. So this is the second set of homework problems in week 2, and I essentially wanted to show you how to manipulate your data, because there's a lot of numbers and manipulating your data can take a lot of time. So I just kind of want to show you some tools you can use to cut down on that time and get accurate results. So basically the first problem looks like this one, and they're going to ask you for a bunch of information about this. And you can take your calculator out and you can figure out what the mean is, which also means average. Mean and average are basically the same thing. Mode, medium, and mid-range. But what you can do is you can take this information. I use a spreadsheet a lot in my teaching. So I'm going to take this information. You can see it kind of looks like these little, I clicked and dragged my mouse over it, and you can see that it kind of looks like it's going to copy. So I'm going to hit Control C for copy, and then I'm going to go into my spreadsheet. I'm going to just paste that information right in there. And you're going to see what happens is something kind of really weird. It doubles all the information. And it didn't take the first one. So if I go back and look at that again, where is it? Okay, here we are, right here. If I go back and look at that again, you can see it highlighted everything, but it didn't get that first 9. So I got to make sure to put that in there. And you say, well, what good is this? Well, it's actually very easy to just fix the data. As long as I have the data here, it's easier for me to get to it. And then all I have to do is take a minute here and do the data. And then once I get to this point, I can take this data. See, separate this out so you can see it a little bit better. I can take this data and I can figure out the average, the mode, the median, all those things that they're asking me to do. So in order to do that in a spreadsheet, I can click on an empty cell down underneath, and up here where it says FX, that stands for function. And if you've used spreadsheets before, but I've been a little anxious about using functions, it's not really that hard to do. You just hit an equal sign, which indicates you're going to use a function, and then average and sum are very popular functions, so those pop up here. But you can also type it in if you want, and then you hit parentheses, and what do I want to take the average of? And I can just highlight these cells right here and end my parentheses, and it will do that for me. So there's my average, and I can label it right here, and then I can do mode is here. Okay, so I then again I do the same thing, highlight the cells I want to take the mode of, and then I'm going to label that, and then median I think is on here also. So there's a lot of stuff in spreadsheets that is available to you because of the kind of math you're going to be doing for the course. So it would probably be a really good idea for you to learn how to use this, because it will make your work a lot easier. So, oh, okay, so it didn't do mid. So let me see, mid-range. Is there such a thing? Sometimes I just type them in to see if I can find out if there's a function that does that. Nope, doesn't like that either. Okay, so I got my mean, my mode, and my median here, and now all I've got to do is transfer that information back into the problem, and that homework problem is done. The mean is so forth and so on. So that's how I would do that problem. Okay, let's get this out of here. Okay, so that's the first problem. Bring this up a little bit so I can get to my little arrow, which is off screen for you to get to my next problem. Okay, now this one right here, again, has a lot of data. And you're probably going, oh, well, I don't want to go into a spreadsheet and type in all that data. Well, you don't have to. If you put your cursor over it, you'll see that it makes, see how the cursor changes? And if I can get it to do that, I can usually get it to hide. If I just pass my cursor over everything, I copy it, I can put my cursor right there, paste it, and again you'll notice what happens is it doubles everything. I'm not really sure if it would do this in Excel. I'm using Google Spreadsheets. So then you can just go through and correct the data, which only takes about a minute or so. It's a lot easier than me going back and forth and trying to memorize all these numbers as I'm going back and forth. So you got to just make sure to get all the numbers in the correct place, and then you can find the information that they asked for, the mean, the median, the mode, the same way we just did it. And again, you do that by going underneath the data. Okay, let me just bring this up a little bit so you can see it. Going underneath the data, hitting an equal sign, and again, mean is the same as average. So just highlight hit an equal sign to start the function, and then you can highlight it, and of course, did I just misspell it? Okay, I did, so it's not going to know how to do that. So that's essentially then as I correct my data here, it'll correct the average. See how that did that just then? See, it's correcting the average. So you can go through and do this actually fairly quickly and get this problem done. Okay, so that is the first one. Now the other thing you gotta pay attention to is how many decimal places they're asking for, because you'll see the average in this case has a bunch of decimal places. So make sure you go into your homework and you read what it says right here. Round to the nearest thousandth. The thousandth place is 3 decimal places, but you have to look at the 4th decimal place to round it. So real quick here, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a 7, which brings the 5 up to a 6. So the answer is going to be 178.286. If you put 5 in, it's going to mark it wrong. So just heads up on that one. Okay, so what's the next problem? How can I get this data in there? Well, I'm going to highlight this. So every time I go to a problem, my first question to myself is, how am I going to get the data into my spreadsheet so that I can work on this problem quickly? And then I'll go here, and you'll notice that it didn't do the first one, but doubled all the rest. So again, you just go through and fix them up a little bit, and then your data is right there. Don't be afraid of spreadsheets. They're actually very, very, very useful. And the first number was 3, so I got to go back to my spreadsheet and put that 3 in there. Okay. And the other thing I'm going to do is, this is great, you know, when I downloaded this, but I'm going to say unit 2 work. I'm going to save that in my folder for all my MAT 125. Now, once I get all these done like this, what's really nice about it, you see how I labeled everything, is when I do my assessment at the end of this unit, these are the types of questions they're going to ask me. So, again, I can take the numbers right out of the assessment questions, plug them in, you know, I can create another little section over here, plug them in, and figure out my average, mean, median, mode using a spreadsheet. You're not expected to do this stuff by hand, and if you type it in on a calculator, like a handheld calculator, you're probably going to make a typo somewhere along the way. So this keeps you from making those type of mistakes. There's other mistakes you can make, like when I edited this information, I could edit it incorrectly. So you do want to do a quick check before you put the answers in. But that is one way of getting your data into your spreadsheet. I hope this was helpful, and we'll talk to you next time.